Hey guys, welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. My name is Jessica. I'm your host. You can follow me on Twitter at @itchdecino, and we're doing player ratings for Arsenal 5, Sunderland 1, Carabao Cup quarterfinals. We are on to the semifinals. Yes. So I'm going to be doing our player ratings, and there's a lot of good to really talk about. And then there's some not so great performances that we can touch on as well. But I just want to say overall, like, I've been enjoying watching Arsenal play lately. There's been a lot of good things to take from most of our games. And so to continue that on today was a good thing. Um, Before the game, I kind of said that, like, I knew the players that were going to be playing would be rusty. There would be no cohesion and no, like, chemistry because they haven't really played together. And I'm pretty much feel like that's what we saw in that first half. Um, was errant passes, a little bit of lack of sharpness, some maybe some people that were overdoing it because maybe they're looking for moves or trying to force their way into the first team. But it's kind of what you would expect in a game where you play a lot of fringe players. There were more starters in there than I thought would be, in particular Odegaard and Ben White. But I think you needed that little bit of, like, experience and freshness in there mixed with the French players because they can't be trusted all on their own. They can't be trusted all on their own. So I think that was the right move for Arteta to make. You can have questions about whether he needed to bring in Gabriel and Martinelli, but I think ultimately, as long as we got out of that game without any sort of injuries, we went on to the next round, and there were some decent performances. And people got minutes. I think that's the point. That's the best part of it. We don't have to be like too nitpicky, but we are doing player ratings, so we will nitpick just a bit because that's what's fun about creating content. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Souls. Hey, Souls.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. I cannot complain. Another win. Um, Lots of goals, lots to be excited about, some things not to be excited about. I think in these types of games, you kind of want to see, if players have what it takes to kind of push themselves into the first team, and we can kind of are into the starting lineup, and we can kind of talk about that. If anybody had a performance like that, but ultimately, this is what you want, right? You want to have a fairly easy day. Guys get some minutes under their belt, get a debut in there as well, and move on with your day. We pretty much handled that, right?
Yeah, no, I think I was surprised actually. I thought you went a bit stronger than probably we even predicted. And I mean, look, Charlie Patino was a long shot to start, but it would have been amazing to see that. But he had a phenomenal debut and a goal as well, so you can't really sit there and complain. I think today was just very well managed. I think he gave enough minutes to players that needed it. Obviously, we know ESR hasn't played a lot. I was surprised to see Odegaard because he's been playing the last 4 games, so I thought maybe he'd be rested and ESR would have been brought in. But overall, I think well balanced team and enough sort of first team players and then enough sort of fringe players that are in and out of the starting 11. And I think he got the balance right if we're being completely honest with ourselves. And yeah, can't really complain about the lineup. I quite liked it and I thought it was a good experiment against a side that we should have been beating anyway. So it's good to have him see how the 4-3-3 works. Maybe he can start looking at it and go, actually, this is exactly what I need if I want this to work. So it's fine. Obviously, a 5-1 win, you can't really complain regardless of who the opposition is. But obviously, it's Sunderland, so it doesn't feel the same as, let's say, when we beat Leeds, when we beat Southampton, when we beat West Ham. But we're in a semi-final. We can put our feet up and absolutely just watch the other 3 games tomorrow without really feeling like, oh, imagine we could have been playing them. Like, oh, we could be playing in that. We know we're playing, so bring it on.
Great summary there. That was spot on, Souls. I have nothing to add to that. So let's go ahead and jump into player ratings. So have everybody kind of written down here. Let's start off with Leno. I thought just whatever. Like, it's what I expected from him, lumping the ball long, looking a little bit shaky, playing the ball out of the back. I personally thought it was a little bit harsh when people were blaming him for the goal. I think when I looked at it, I just thought Emil Smith Rowe was sloppy on the ball. El Neni didn't get close enough to the midfielders. And personally, I think that was a symptom of not having two midfielders there and only having El Neni. I just feel we've learned, at least in this game, that we're not a single pivot team. Even against lower level opposition, we just don't have a number 6 that's strong enough, or 2 8s that are strong enough to hold up that midfield. And I thought El Neni got beat because they kind of passed around him. And then, let's be honest, it was a little bit of quality from Sunderland that got through. And even though White tried to clear it off the line, it was already in the back of the net. And I just didn't really see where Leno could have done better. But you did miss Ramsdale a little bit. You missed his commanding presence. You missed his voice. You could tell that there was just a little bit of like, it just wasn't the same, and you can feel it. And I don't think that's necessarily that Leno has declined. I think we've just moved on from him, and we have a goalkeeper that does some of the things that we really want. And so I don't want to like go in on him too much. I would give him like a 6.5, like 6.5, 7. It just was what it was. What did you think about Leno?
No, I agree with the rating. I think it's like a 6, 7. I don't mind what people want to give, but it is between that sort of rating. I thought he did his job. I mean, when you look at the goal, it's very harsh if you're gonna solely blame him, because he did what a keeper needed to do: try and close the angles, try and rush out. And the thing is, he wasn't in two minds. Oh, should I go? And then goes, and then thinks, no, actually, let me come back, like he has done in the past. And you know, it's one of those performances you're like, yeah, cool, you did your job. But I was hoping that he'd be a bit more commanding. I was hoping that he's seen Ramsdale and the things that Ramsdale's doing. That, I mean, any human being can do. Just scream and shout at your defense. When we started to sort of lose composure and lose control of the game, the defense started becoming a little bit sloppy. I was hoping Leno started screaming a bit, and I didn't see that, which was what disappointed me, because I mean, I'm sorry, you don't need to be a good keeper to command your defenders. You just need to speak. Even if you speak softly, just speak. And I just don't see him. I don't see him being vocal and it's like, maybe it's in his personality or something. But if that's the case, then yes, we need to massively move on, and we actually need to sell him and bring someone else in, because that to me is the key difference. And obviously, there's distribution, there's all that, but in terms of shot stopping, there was no faults there. But if he was more commanding, I reckon we'd have a better end to the first half. But yeah, no, there's no faulting him. I don't want to go too deep in it, because he had an overall a good display. So yeah, I'd say 6, 7.
Yeah, it's just right in between there. Nothing really to be too upset about. It is what it is. And he never was commanding. He never really spoke. He never really did those things. So I personally don't expect him to change now. He's 28 years old now. He is what he is.
But it's just
But
speaking, you know what I mean? I'm not asking a lot here. I'm not asking for your
it's just not
distribution
his
or nothing.
it's not his thing. Like, I
Yeah, I
just
guess.
don't feel like it's not in his wheelhouse. When they were asking him to be a little bit more, not commanding, but even passing out of the back, he said, I'm not doing it. His action said, I'm not doing it, because that's not
Yeah.
what I do. I'm just going to lump it long, because I'm protecting myself. I don't want to get back into the Leno wars, but it just is what it is. So 6.5, 7. We'll just give him that. Cedric, I think here's my theory on Cedric. I think I want to put out there first that he was probably rusty, which a lot of those players that don't play consistent minutes are going to be rusty. I think because you have Nicola Pepe in front of him, Cedric has to overlap, because Pepe is not Saka. Saka can kind of do it all on that right-hand side without an overlapping fullback. Tomiyasu doesn't have to overlap with Saka. Pepe needs an overlapping fullback. So Cedric was doing that for him. And then in the beginning, when they were losing the ball, Sunderland was attacking down that side a lot. And I just felt like Cedric was kind of out of position. And Pepe was not really tracking back with the vigor that I would want him to. So it was a little bit of like cause and effect there. Like, because we need him to overlap for Pepe, they're naturally out of position. And if I'm Sunderland, I'm going to attack down that side. So I don't want to go too hard on him, but I just don't think that he was all that great. He did get an assist, not taking that away from him. I don't want him on our dead balls. I don't think that his dead ball distribution was very good today. I thought it left a little bit to be desired, but I will give him the rusty pass, but we need a backup right back that we feel really confident in. And I think he's just all right. But like when he's rusty and he hasn't played in a while, he's worse than that.
Hmm.
So he got an assist. It wasn't like atrocious. I do think he left White exposed. So, and a lot of people spoke about it. You know, I don't know if you feel differently, but for me, Cedric, I got to give him a 6. I just don't think he was that great, but he did get the assist and he was doing what I feel like he was asked to do. But that rustiness and just his overall just not being that great of a player, I think just it was what it was. You know, what do you think?
Oh, your rating was a lot higher than I thought you were going to give him. I thought you might have given him a 4 by the way you were speaking, but no, I agree. I think it's a 6 performance. I think it's nothing. It's just average in my opinion. I don't think he did. I mean, the attacking side of his game was fairly bang on. I think today. I think he was exciting. He was creating problems for Sunderland. And I think he linked up with Pepe quite well. But then again, you know, a fullback's job is also to defend at least your right hand side, you know, not necessarily what's going down the middle, but which he didn't do. I think there was moments where they exposed that side a bit more to and drew Ben White, down to the right hand side to expose the middle. So that it is like you said, it's cause and effect. But I think it was better than I thought you'd do actually. So I don't know whether if we're going off of like what we expected to what he actually performed like, and
Can I be honest? I don't expect much. So,
yeah, well, yeah, exactly,
like,
yeah. I mean, I don't expect it a lot, but it was better than what I thought he'd be, and I think his attacking play was more of what we've seen in the past. So, yeah, no, I think a 6. There's a lot of we do need to improve, and we know that. We know our fringe players aren't quite there. We are literally that team. We're like Liverpool. We've got a starting 11, and then anything after that, it's a bit like, well, it's all right. It might do the job. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with Liverpool. Like anything after their starting 11, it's like it's all right. It's good enough to maybe get you by, but it's not really good enough for Arsenal. It's not really good enough for Liverpool. But yeah, that's how I see ourselves at the moment.
So what'd you give him?
A 6. I agree
A
with that. Yeah.
6?
I thought
Okay,
you were gonna give
so
him a 4. I thought like it was gonna
no,
be low
I
for him.
can't give somebody a 4 if I don't expect that much from him.
Yeah,
So
that's
he
true.
wasn't
Yeah.
that far off of what I expect. I just honestly, I just think we need a better backup, but
Oh yeah,
at the
hundred
moment it
percent.
is what it is.
But it's unlucky though
Um,
because I think Chambers was gonna play, but then we found out just
he has
before the game
COVID.
he tested positive for COVID. Yeah, him, Lokonga, and actually Ainsley's ill, which is positive, I guess, because he's not COVID. Otherwise, they would say COVID, not him being ill.
Yeah, for sure. Ben White, I think we had kind of spoke about this like in our group chat before that I personally felt like Ben White needed to play somebody in that back line because I don't trust a back line full of the fringies. I just don't think it works out. I think that they're just I don't know. It's just weird. You know, so I was actually happy to see Ben White in the starting lineup, but I think it has something to do with the fact that Chambers was has COVID, but I was okay with seeing him back there. Again, he was very exposed by Cedric, and I saw him several times screaming at Cedric slash Pepe because they were just leaving him wide open. I also think that there was an element of White playing on autopilot. You know, it's one of those where it wasn't a typical White performance. He's usually pretty calm, but he was calmer than calm today. And I wonder if it was just because he's like, I'm not trying to get injured. But when he did come out, and Gabriel came in, he was hunched over at a certain point. It looked like I'm not trying to say that I think he got injured, but I would not be surprised if he had a small knock or something because he was hunched over like, oh, like something was hurting him. That being said, he dribbled out a couple of times. It wasn't super successful. It was okay. Like he was just fine. He wasn't great. I feel like just wanting to give him a 6.5 as well. 6.5, 7. Not a great performance. He was definitely exposed by Cedric. But I think he was on autopilot today, so 6.5.
I'm actually going lower than you this time because I'm going
Mhm.
5. Just more of an
Mhm.
expectation thing. I think obviously we expect a lot better from him, but again,
Mhm.
yes, he was exposed, and again, because for me, Holding was better, so I can't give Hold. I want to. For me, Holding's like a 6.5. So if I give Ben White that, then I'd have to go higher on Holding, which for me further on just ruins all the ratings. But I think it's right. I think it's a bit of arrogance in him that I think he just thought I'm way better than Sunderland, so I don't really need to try. And I don't think he did need to try as well. That there is a truth in that, but it was just a 5 before. I think he could have done better, but there was nothing really for him to deal with that he didn't deal with at the same time. So it's a bit of a, well, yeah, could have done better, but was there a need to? That's
Yeah, it is. It's that did he need to? I
yeah.
think when you look at it, I get that this is probably not the right thing, but I don't want to get hurt. I probably don't really need to be out here. So I'm just going to kind of go on autopilot. That's what it looked like. He's always quite passive in defense. Somebody
But he was
said
like
that. I don't.
Maitland Niles passive, like when
Yeah,
he's
he
like
was very
he was like
passive today. Exactly. That's why I just kind of am like, okay, whatever. It's an average-ish performance. You gave him a 5. I gave him a
yeah.
6.5. I don't think he was as bad as that, but it is what it is. So we can just kind of go with that. There's 180 of you guys watching. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now, let's chat about Holding. I actually thought he was fine. I thought he was all right. I thought he was quite similar to when they played against Leeds in the Carabao Cup earlier. Ben White and Holding, I think, complement each other quite well. And what you kind of said earlier, I think, was the main issue was that because Elneny was by himself in midfield and Cedric he was too far up, White ended up going out wide right. And then we were exposed through the middle, which is something you never want to be. But I thought Holding in his one-on-one duels was fine. Heading the ball out was fine. Almost scored a goal that ended up being the first goal for Nketiah. I just think he was. I thought he was good. Like I thought he was one of the fringe players that didn't look fringy, and that's
Mm.
usually what it is. I think Holding's been a lot better than maybe even I've given him credit for. When he played last season and he was damn near a starter, I think he was always one of the better ones, and he has improved under Arteta. Don't want to give him credit for that. And I know that he was the captain today, part of that leadership group. He's one of the fringy players that if he stayed, I wouldn't be like upset about it or anything. Hair's looking lush, looking really good. Hair implant, weave, lace front is on point. So for me, I'm actually going to give Holding a 7.5. Definitely better than White today. Did a good job, but didn't really get super exposed the way that White did on the right side. So I think a 7.5 is fair for Holding.
No, I agree. I was actually well, I'm not shocked because we've seen this in him before. We just don't. I think the issue is I don't want to get overly confident because I know what happens when Holding starts so many games. We then start to play him and then he makes mistakes and it's weird. He's had a hair transplant and now he's not scared to head of the ball, which I find bizarre because I'm like, you want to protect your hair, not you know, when you did and the thing is, he was actually with headers and he was actually battling in the air, which I know it sounds like I'm trying to go in on him, but last season, like, don't forget Jota and Sterling, he didn't even try to jump for the ball. And today, obviously, that's rectified. And I think even his ball playing ability, maybe I've underrated it. Maybe I've not seen it as well as maybe other people. But I thought his ball playing ability today was a lot better. He was the more driver in the two centre backs, and that was quite impressive to see. And he's one of those where I'm like, well, touch wood, nothing happens. But let's just say we needed to rest Ben White or Gabriel or someone in that sort of centre back, and or even if we have to move White to right back and have someone come in, I don't mind seeing Holding, and I think that's a good thing because he did put a performance where I'm like, he can come in. He didn't look rusty per se. He looked like someone that's quite fit to come in if needed and do a job, and that's gives me confidence because he is. If Gabriel White, then maybe Chambers or Holding, but it's Holding and then maybe Chambers. So you kind of want him to do good because if anything happens, he's the only other option.
So I was writing in
Oh,
I should be doing it the other way around. Like I should have had my ratings already, but I'm doing them on the fly and then weirdly putting it in my phone, which doesn't make sense. I don't even know why I'm doing that right now. But yeah, just to keep track, I guess. But let's talk Nuno. I think he had a typical Nuno performance. I think what we're kind of seeing what he's good at and what he's not good at. Um, very pacey, loves to go forward, has a great cross on him. He had a couple of crosses that I thought were really, really good. I think he did well in one of the goals. I can't remember which one it was, but he was kind of in and around there. I think I forget what goal it was. I'll go back and look at the highlights. But a little shaky at the beginning, I thought, and has been shaky since he's come out of the team in terms of that confidence that I was seeing on the ball. I'm not seeing it as much, and I don't know if it's because Kieran Tierney's come back in and he's like, "Oh shit, where do I stand here?" But a typical Nuno performance, all gas, no breaks. Could be sloppy on the ball, but ultimately pretty entertaining. And when we're playing well, he plays well. I think when we play bad, he's kind of one of those that doesn't play as well. So it's one of those, but I thought I thought, what, I'm gonna say I think he was good, but so much better in the second half when the team got a lot better. So I'm gonna give Nuno a 7. I thought he was good, just good. What do you think?
I thought he was quite impressive today. In a sense of there was a few passes that he made where I was like, do you know what? Fair play, because I seen that on TV. So if you can see, because there's certain passes that we see on TV, because obviously the angles and the views that we get to see, and I was like, for a player on the pitch, that's a lot harder. I think it was, yeah, it was when he kind of passed it across to Nketiah. Nketiah controlled it, but then his knee got into, like, when the ball kind of bounced up, the knee pushed it forward, so he couldn't get onto it. But I thought that was a brilliant find. I think it was Eddie's second goal, if I'm not mistaken, that Nuno had a
Yeah,
influence in, and that's another brilliant move that we had as well. And I think the issue is, right. It's that attackingly, I do think he's quite superior to Taney, but the only thing that Taney has is that more overall and more balanced sort of fullback. I think
yeah.
he's perfect.
Tierney is a
Yeah.
fullback. Nuno is not a
And
fullback.
I think
He's basically a winger.
Tavares would have been perfect when we played the 5-2-3 or the 3-4-3,
The
whatever
three
you want to
four
put it in.
three, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
whatever
And
we
he would have been better than Ainsley in that left
hundred
side.
percent.
Yeah,
If the
yeah.
thing is, right, that now the debate comes in, like, for example, we've got City coming up in New Year's, I believe it is. Um, whether we play Kieran Tierney as a left centre back and go with Nuno at left back and then just play a 5 back and have his attacking power. But anyway, that's a conversation later on in time. But I do see him more of a wing back, and I can understand now why Arteta brings him on as a winger, or he brings him on like with Kieran Tierney on the flank. So, but yeah, no, he's looking good. I think he's becoming a bit more rounded. He's very, very raw, I don't know whether we polish him off and he becomes worse, and that's obviously something we'll find out in the future. But I like him so far. I think he's brilliant. I'd give him a 7.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we agree then. Yeah, Nuno is a 7. Um, exactly what I expect from him.
Mm.
Nothing different, so good for him. El Neni, I think El Neni is just El Neni. Like, he never does anything spectacular, but he doesn't do much super wrong, and when he does do things wrong, you kind of expect it because spent 10 million on him to be a backup in 2015. So this is somebody that was on loan that we've resurrected and will go on free at the end of the season. Expectations for El Neni, in my opinion, are just what they are. But I do think that maybe Arteta was thinking about doing something a little bit more attacking, a little bit more forward thinking with Smith Rowe and Odegaard flanking him. But ultimately, I think Odegaard and ESR are a little bit too flaky defensively, and El Neni is not really robust enough and good enough in general to be playing as a single pivot, even against a League One team. I thought he was getting sliced open in that first half, and that was immediately brought to a halt the minute that Granit Xhaka came in, and we just looked like Arsenal again. Guess what? We're a double pivot team until we get a number 6 that actually works in that position. But I thought El Neni was just average, not average in a way where he was below average than what we think he is. it's just because he's an average player. Give him a 6. Move on from it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he is just consistently average, and it's just one of those where you know what, it's good to have because he doesn't complain about not playing games. But then when you call upon him, he's just ready to play. He's fit. He doesn't need time to get going, which is it's always good to have. And I think he. I mean, it's always tough because I don't see him as a defensive midfielder on his own. He does need, whether it's Odegaard's role or whether it was ESR's to come and help out in midfield, to create sort of a false double pivot because they're not really playing that way. But yeah, no, I think it was a 6. There was nothing really fault. There was nothing, but I was like, oh, you majorly cocked up a pass there, or you're losing the ball too much, but he didn't do anything good. So yeah, I think a 5-6. Yeah,
It's
bang
just
average.
it's just
Just El
whatever, you
Neni,
know?
isn't it? That's just
It's
El
just
Neni.
it's just El Neni, exactly. Um, Odegaard. I think everybody was pretty much shocked to see him play. I thought the guy was mustard today. I think he
Mhm.
showed that this was just so below him, and he was unlike somebody else who we will get on to, just
Okay.
cruised in this game. And I think between Odegaard and Nketiah, you could see 2 players that I thought were relatively flawless in that game. Did exactly what you expect them to do. Nketiah scored goals, looked sharp, looked like this was too easy. Odegaard, sharp, putting balls into space, taking control of the game, made it look like it was too easy. And Odegaard, I think, was out there because we needed somebody that was a leader, and he did exactly that. He was vocal. You could tell he was telling them what to do. I mean, it must have been really difficult to be playing with, 3 players up front that are all trying to do their own thing. You have Pepe trying to fight his way into the team. You have Nketiah fighting for a lone move. You have Balogun fighting for a lone move. All these guys are kind of doing their own thing, and he's trying to corral them and get them to press at the right times and feed them and all this kind of stuff. So I thought Odegaard is putting in consistent performances no matter who the opposition is, and he should have had a goal. He definitely should have had a goal. I don't know what kind of shot that was,
Yeah,
that he had. I was just like, it's on your left. Like, how have you not put that in the back of the net? But
yeah.
the pass in for Pepe for the Patino goal, I think it was it? He put it into
No, no,
Pepe, and then Pepe megged the guy. Which goal was that?
wasn't
Oh no,
Odegaard off? No,
that was
Odegaard was off.
Nketiah's third goal then. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
Nketiah's third
He put it
goal.
through to Pepe.
That
Pepe nutmeg
pass,
the player. Yeah,
yeah, that pass was perfect. It was so, so nice. And so for me, Odegaard's growing in stature, not only in the team, but in my mind. I'm starting to think of him so much differently now than I did at the beginning of the season. So for me, Odegaard gets a 9. Like, I think if he had got that goal, then it would have just been icing on the cake. But I have nothing to really complain about for Martin Odegaard. He has been a steal for 30 million. And yeah, I'm loving it. What about you?
I'm glad I backed him. I remember there's so many arguments, and I was like, look, guys, yes, he's been poor. Yes, he's not hit the ground running. But the thing is, you know what it is? This game shows you what level he can get to. Because that we've not seen a pass from Odegaard that he played to Pepe, for example, for the Eddie third goal. That's intelligence, that's bravery. And to be fair, that is outright arrogance because Pep was like, I want it at my feet. Odegaard's like, yeah, cool, I'll pass it you. And just the way he picked him out. And the thing is, it wasn't even just that. These kinds of games show you the levels you can get to and what a player could do. I know it's a lower level opposition, but to be honest with you, I mean, we can't disagree. Odegaard's not only been consistent, but he's been highly because there's consistency where you're 7-7-7 or 7-7-6-7, like you're in and around that sort of El Neni, like a bang average player, but just consistent. But then you've got Odegaard who's been consistent, but like sort of eights, like sort of high level consistency. And he's running the show. He's showing his sort of why he's Norwegian captain, why he can be a leader, why we see him as a leader within this team. Whether he's captain material, that's a debate we can always have, but he's definitely one of the leaders on that pitch when he plays, and phenomenal. I think it was near eye flawless until he started doing Ozil shots, where he just, I don't know, there's just no power in him. And
He
That
can
that will come.
improve upon that. Yeah, he
Yeah,
can
that
improve
that'll
upon
come because
that.
he's shown he can score goals. He's scored some beautiful goals for us. Like for example, the Spurs goal, then the goal that he scored against Southampton was a brilliant finish where it was on a volley. So yeah, no, I agree. I think a 9 for him. It was near eye flawless. There's nothing to fault really. Ran the show.
Yeah, he was really good. I like watching him play, to be honest,
Mm.
and he's just a good little player, and I'm loving it. Um, I guess you could probably imagine that the other player that I was talking about that just didn't really. I don't think he had a great game at all was Smith Rowe. I thought he kind of slept walk through the game, and this is why, for me, and I'm gonna plant my flag in the sand here, because I've kind of always felt like this, but I feel like it's a hard conversation to have. Is that as long as we play with the number 10, it has to be Odegaard because ESR does not have the vision. I think to play as a number 10 right now for Arsenal. I think he can get us up the pitch with his dribbling, but I think he's much better out wide. And today he just lacked sharpness. He lacked his 5 yard burst. There was no kind of go. I personally, if I had to nitpick like who was at fault for that goal that they scored, I kind of stemmed it back to ESR being really sloppy on the ball for absolutely no reason, giving it away. And I just think you can kind of, I don't think Smith Rowe did a really good job of putting pressure on Odegaard or Martinelli. I think he made a case for them to continue and for him to sit the bench. And that doesn't mean that Smith Rowe is not a great player. It doesn't mean that I don't love him. I just think when we start having these conversations around like, okay, who should stay in this team and who should stay out, I don't think ESR really made a play for that number 10 position or the left wing, really, based on his play today. Now, you could say that this game is not important and it's just Sunderland, but every minute matters when you're competing against your contemporaries for minutes. So I don't really buy this whole like, well, it was just Sunderland. So because when we talk about the Norwich game, he's not going to be in my front four. It's going to be the same one that played in the last couple of games. So ESR did not have a great game. I don't think it's like the end of the world, but I do think you see the difference between what Odegaard brings to you and what ESR does. They have skills that they neither of them really like they balance. Like one person has this and the other person has that. But as a number 10, I think you have to have vision and the passing. And I don't think ESR really has that. He has something different that's more beneficial on the left. So for me, as harsh as this may sound, I'm going to give him a 4. I thought he was really like kind of maybe one of the not it sounds so bad to say. There was one other person that was worse than him in my opinion, but I thought he was pretty bad today. So 4.
Yeah, no, I agree because I thought the issue is right. It's not ESR that's in the first team, so it's not an Odegaard situation where Odegaard's starting. So if he dropped that kind of performance, or whatever, it ESR needs to fight for a spot. So there's a big difference. There's a different type of level of performance you want to see from that. Now, that doesn't look. I know people are saying, "I'll be writing him off." No, but no one's even thinking about that. But what we're saying is, when you've got a competing 11 that is Martinelli scoring goals in pretty much every start that he's had, Saka's adding goals, and he's basically not going to be dropped. He's undroppable in Premier League games. Then you look at Odegaard, absolutely, sort of running the show. And then you look at Lacazette, who brings a different dynamic. Yes, he's not got goals or anything, but what what he offers, ESR's not going to do that anyway. So, so he's not going to really compete for a striker spot. Yeah, it's cold season, so yeah, got a bit of a cough. But so it's Lacazette's out of the equation unless you're bringing Martinelli up there. But the way we play, we need Lacazette. So the issue is within the niche. He's a niche. So he's either competing for a number 10 or Martinelli. So Odegaard or Martinelli in reality, and it's difficult because I wouldn't drop Odegaard, and the way Martinelli's played, I wouldn't drop Martinelli either. And he didn't stamp that authority. He should have. The thing is, he needed the Odegaard performance. He needed them assists or those balls or be that driving force or even be a threat on goal at least. The only thing I can remember ESR was that shot that he got when the ball came out just outside the box, and
That
he
was a
just
good volley. That
yeah,
was a
it was a
really,
very
really
good
nice
strike, but
shot.
that was it. After that, I was like, what did he really do? And it's disappointing, but look, we know what he can do off the bench. He will fight and he will be that player. But unfortunately, sometimes it happens. They drop performances and you kind of have to acknowledge them. There's no point of us glossing, it's fine. It's only one performance. We have to talk about them. And yeah, I'd say a 5 because I gave Ben White. I think, did I give Ben White? Yeah, I gave Ben White a 5, so I'd give him a 5 as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that people are like, okay, well, that's harsh. It's a 4. I think the goal that they scored stemmed from him. And just because it's Sunderland and we still won 5-1, we're grading the players individually on their performances. So I'm not going to give higher grades because we played against Sunderland. Like, I still thought he was really poor. And I hear what you're saying, but
Oh,
SofaScore
so
is
for
not
score.
is not really somewhere where I get my information from. I can get
It's
statistics
so
from there, but I don't really think that that's, I mean, you can pass sideways and backwards the entire game and get a really high score on SofaScore because you got 90 something percent pass completion. So I think, again, I think people they don't really listen to anything. They just, when they key in on the thing that they don't agree on and then say that that's what you said. ESR is a great player. This is not the end of his career. I'm not basing this game on what I think ESR is for the rest of his career. What I'm saying is that every minute counts, and we have a kind of a fight going on in that front four. And I don't think ESR did much in this game to make a claim for the number 10 position or the left wing position. I thought he was poor personally. I thought he was very loose and sloppy on the ball. He did some good things. He didn't do some other good things. And for me, that's just what I saw. If you disagree, you disagree. But he wasn't good today. And every minute counts, and I don't care if it's Sunderland, so I'm sorry.
especially when
Like,
you're not in the 11, yeah. Especially when
yeah,
you're
I'm
the player
saying
not in the
he's
11,
not
yeah.
in the 11, so we're talking about it from that perspective. But I didn't say that ESR is a shitty player, which is what I feel like people are hearing, which again just goes back to I didn't like what she said, so now I'm going to just take everything that she said positive and throw it in the trash. Like, no. And it's okay to disagree. That's fine. So we did ESR already. Let's talk about, I think, Pepe. We could go to Pepe now. Pepe, I thought offensively really had a pretty decent game when he started going. And this is again the same thing with Cedric. When you haven't played a lot, you're kind of like rusty and getting back into the groove of things. And then he started to really beat the guy on that right hand side and meg him and really go past people. And he had 2 assists and a goal. I thought this is what you want to see from somebody who's trying to put pressure on the manager to maybe potentially give you minutes against Norwich away, against Wolves. So I thought that this was good. Do I think it's better than what Saka gives us against Premier League teams? I'm not sure about that. But if we were beating Wolves or beating Norwich 3-0 and there was some minutes to give, I think Pepe has done enough in this game for us to consider giving him minutes. I thought that was a very good performance by Pepe. It was a lot of end producty stuff. He still had some of his little like giveaways at the beginning, but you could kind of chalk that up to rust. But what I did see him doing that I don't really see him doing that often is trying to win the ball back. High up the pitch, he was trying to win the ball back. And I thought in the first half, he did a good job of that. And so I really can't shade him. I think that's what you want to see from somebody that's trying to force himself into the first team or into the starting lineup. And yeah, I don't have much to complain about when it comes to Pepe. I started a message here. And I wanted to before I get your rating, I just wanted to kind of ask you this question that came from Ahmed. Question: if Pepe was half the price, so if we didn't pay 72, let's say we paid 35 to 40 for him, would he be rated much higher from our fan base? Somebody earlier said that I can't remember what he said, but like he had scored like maybe 30 something goals, 38 goals, or some high ass number of goals for Arsenal and 100 appearances or something like that. Do you think if he was half the price, we wouldn't be as harsh on him? Like if we just said, you know what, we overpaid, we paid 72 million, but we know that he was probably more worth probably 40. What he's given to us so far, do you think that that would be like okay? Because he does have quite a bit of end product. We know that those goals may not be against the best opposition, but he is a flat track bully. But you know what I mean. What do you think about that?
I think fan base, probably, yeah, and I do agree. I think they probably wouldn't rate him as harshly because a lot of people, I think, are in this mindset of like money is the value of the player and that should be their standard. But we know that that's not the case, and I've said this a lot of times. I'm now changing that mentality within myself to stop rating a player for because they don't pick how much they're worth. Do you know what I mean? And it's also because we think £72 million is outlandish because is £72 million, and we're not quite used to it. But if you think about it, Harry Maguire's gone for 80 million, Van Dijk's going for 75 million, Addison went for like 60, 70 million. Like, to be fair, there's been some stupid transfers that should never be that much. Like, traditionally, when we've grown up, even when I've grown up, I'm a younger fan, like, and it was 10 million, 15 million, 20 millions when I was growing up. And then it was Ronaldo that was like 70 million. And that's the highest we'd ever heard of. So it's always difficult. But would we rate him less harshly? Probably. But I still think he came with an expectation. So I don't know because the expectation was high, regardless of the fee. Everyone, like United fans, wanted him. We wanted him. I think Chelsea were touted with him as well. There was a few teams, like big Premier League teams, that were willing to go in for him, and obviously we were the ones that got him. So I don't think, even if we take price and put it to one side for a second, have we gotten what we expected from Pepe? No. If we're
Well,
being real, maybe.
he scored 26 goals and has 20 assists in 100 games.
I want him to be more fluid. I want him to be the winger. I don't. The issue is, right, with the way that maybe when we played back then, when we bought him, maybe he suited it and maybe he was the perfect player for that time. But my issue is when we have Saka, we look more threatening, we look more fluid, and we look better as a team. Whereas with Pepe, like I've always said it, look, Pepe will guarantee you a goal and assist, but it's only for him. Whereas with Saka guarantees you a goal and assist, but that can come from anywhere. That's where I think the big difference, and that's where the balance needs to happen, because Pepe is good for himself, Saka is good for the team, and it depends on what you want as an individual, what you hope to have. If you want an individual to get all the gold, then fair enough. Yeah, Pepe is your guy. Like, you are going to want him. But if you want someone who complements the team and allows the team to play better, then you want a Saka. And for me, I prefer a Saka. It's not that I've always said it. Pepe, Xhaka, not bad players, just not Arsenal, and I don't think they're Premier League players. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different pieces to this puzzle. And so I want to start off by saying I don't think Pepe is a horrendous player. I don't think he is the worst player I've ever seen. He's frustrating, and I definitely think we grossly overpaid, and it does cloud my judgment on him. It just does. So if I'm human, I made a mistake. I'm human after all. I'm human. Like, sorry, I judged him quite harshly because of the 72 million. But if I just look at him as an individual, I think he's an end product player that doesn't have the basics down pat. I think when we start talking about those 26 goals and 20 assists, I'd like to see who those were against. A lot of those, I want to say, maybe came against lower level opposition in the Premier League / Europa League, which doesn't mean that they don't mean anything, but you have to take that into account. We don't play to Pepe's strengths, so you need to play the best player for the system. Pepe inevitably, like, the door closed on Pepe because Saka and ESR started showing faint, faint end product. And now that they're starting to kick on, that door is closing more and more. I think Saka does different things that when he's not in the team, we just miss. And Pepe doesn't do those for us. And so it's just different. If we want to play with Tomiyasu, who's not an overlapping right back, you can't play Pepe because he needs an overlapping right back because he can't hold the width on his own. He's an inside forward. Saka is so much better inside and out than Pepe. So it's such a difficult conversation, to have. Do I think he's totally unusable and like the worst player I've ever seen? Absolutely not. No, I don't. He does have an end product there. But with the way that we play, it suits Saka more, and we're gonna score more goals with Saka and the team. He may not have the most goals, but we will score more goals as a team, and that's what's more important in my mind. But that being said, today's performance for me showed that if we had 10 minutes at the end of the Norwich game, I would feel comfortable with Pepe coming in and doing something because I thought his link up play was better today than it usually is. He didn't defend expertly, but he did try to win the ball back. So I want to give him some credit. But it's difficult. It's a difficult one to have. And, you know, yeah. I think Oya Talani is saying surely we can discuss Pepe without Saka. Well,
We
Coach
can't.
Dave was actually the person who brought it up, you know. So he was the one who said, you guys, basically kiss Saka's ass, but Pepe has more goals and stuff. So that's the reason why he was brought up. But individually, Pepe played well today. I'm giving him a 9. I think he was super dangerous in the second half. 2 goals, 1 assist up there. And so I will give him his props when they come, but let's not deny the fact that he's also had some games where he was just not good, you know? So there you go. What would what would you like to give him?
Ooh, I still think Odegaard's my man of the match. I just think without Odegaard, Pepe probably wouldn't do half the things he did. That's not a dig at him. I
Yeah.
just think I think Odegaard was just instrumental. So I'd say 8.5. I think he was fitted like basically man of the match, but it's just unfortunate. Odegaard was just that much, but just edges it in me. But yeah, no, I think you can give it to either. And no, you know what's annoying, right? And I think what fans need to understand, this is what I want to see from Pepe. This isn't me asking for a lot. I just want to see this. If I can see this week in, week out from Pepe, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sit here and cry about him. And that's all I want to say on it. I don't want to go into him too deeply. If he plays against Norwich, I'm not going to complain. I think we do. The coach Dave does then make a good point saying that we need both for top four, and I agree because you need a plan B when Saka isn't doing his thing. You need Pepe to come on and change the game a bit. So yeah, no, 100% agree with that. Brilliant game. I just hope it continues and it doesn't just this is it, and then we won't see anything until the pressure's off us.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, we'll see what happens. And the next time he plays in the Premier League, if he doesn't have this level of performance or he can't beat a man or hold the width on his own, I would love Coach Dave to come back and let's have this conversation again. Because I think to ignore what Saka brings to the team just because his finishing is not as high as somebody that we paid 72 million for, who's 27 years old, I think is disingenuous. You need more. There's players that just don't score goals that are still super important to your team. And Saka does have 3 goals and 4 assists in the Premier League. So that ain't nothing. That ain't nothing. He's above a lot of other players that people think are so much better. So I would just maybe let's come back the next time Pepe plays in the Premier League. Let's see how he performs against Premier League opposition, and then we'll have a different conversation. I like this conversation because it's interesting where people kind of where they put their flags in the sand on this one. But there's about 232 of you guys watching. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are now talking about Flo Balogun again. I don't want to hear anything about why is Arteta disregarding Balogun and treating him like shit because he's so good. Look at him in the under 23s. Under 23s is nothing like men's football. And he was not good today. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's not say that he didn't get any service. He did, and he bottled it. He had a shot that went straight to the keeper and a wide open header. He just needs a loan. He just needs a loan, and it's pretty obvious now. Even the difference between how comfortable Eddie looked versus Balogun. I think there's also like some level of Balogun maybe wanting to show how good he was, and it kind of took him out of the game a little bit, but he wasn't good today. I thought along with ESR, he was probably the least successful today in what he was trying to do. So, what would you give Balogun, and what did you think about his performance? I mean, I think this is a really good example of why you can't trust the little clips that you're seeing in under 23s because he needs to play men's football.
But I think this highlights two things: why Saliba was sent out on loan, and why I think the same reason why I think Balogun needs a loan. And that's because number one, you're not going to get consistent game time at the moment, anyways, at Arsenal. Because if we're looking at the beginning of the season, we're just looking at depth wise. We've got Aubameyang, Lacazette as your strikers. Your wingers, you've got Martinelli, ESR, you've got Pepe, Saka. So you've already got two, position. Then you've got Odegaard as the lone 10, but then ESR can do the role there as well. So he's a bit of a two-way, depth player. And then if Balogun isn't playing week in, week out, or even consistently, it's going to hamper his development. And I think that's the reason why he was then sent back into the under 23s, because of the loan window, or the window to be able to loan a player out, had ended. So obviously that's why we're looking in January to loan him out, to have his development done. And it's massively different. If anyone's played any sort of like football, from when you're a kid, even if you recall back to when you're a kid, say for example you're in like year 8, year 9, and you play against like age groups that are 2, 3 years older than you do struggle, because physically you've never played against that level. You don't really know what to expect. And then secondary to that, it's a mentality thing. When you when you start to first play into the first team and break into the first team, you overdo everything. And what that in turn does, actually you've done nothing. Rather than, you've taken too many men on, you've not even taken a man on. So even though in your head you're trying to do more, you end up doing less. And I know it's weird, but it's one of those where I think with experience you understand what I'm trying to say here. And that's what happened. I wouldn't say he flustered, but I think he tried to prove a point, but couldn't prove a point. So it's unfortunate. Look, he's a very young player. Strikers tend to go into their 30s anyway, so it's not like he's going to have a short, career or anything. There's a long time for him to go. He's like 19. We don't need to put this pressure on him right now. Give him a loan move, and then we'll evaluate in the summer whether he's ready to be second or even third striker and be in the first team regularly. So, yeah, disappointing. I don't want to rate him. I really don't, but I have to. But I'd give him a 4. I do think he was the worst performing player of the day for us anyway. As unfortunate as it is to say, and as hard as it is to say, you have to be real. But loan move, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't want to. I don't want to rate him. I just feel so bad because I know people are gonna. "Ah!" Again, like I'm rating him based on like what he did. Like, not. I'm not saying that he's gonna be the worst player in the world forever in his whole entire life. Like, basically, I mean, Nketiah is just like 3 years ahead of him in development, and he looks like it. I still think Balogun has a very high ceiling. I think he needs these moments as well because he needs to be, as harsh as this may sound, he needs to be humbled. Like he needs to have that humbling experience every once in a while. So I don't really want to dig him out. Actually, what I'm going to do is I know I gave ESR a 4. I'm actually going to bump him up to a 5, and I'm going to give Balogun a 5 as well. They were both poor, but it is what it is. And they're Hale End, and don't want people like thinking that I have an agenda against Hale End. And, I don't love my Arsenal. I do. But, we could just give them both 5s because they were both poor in different ways, because we expect more from ESR. And I think people expected more from Balogun. He had some clear chances, and you could see he was getting knocked over and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. But let's talk I guess the man of the match, really. I mean, Odegaard probably was my man of the match, just because I like him. And I think you said the same thing as well. Nothing would have really happened without him. He's one of those types. But Eddie Nketiah, like, I remember people were making fun of him for celebrating his first goal because it was just like a tap in. And I'm just like he should be celebrating whatever goal. Like, I know that it's against Sunderland, and how dare you, celebrate, but he should. And he didn't make a meal of it. He didn't like slide to the corner on his knees or whatever and jump into the crowd. But that's the kind of goals that we expect from Eddie. But what we didn't expect is the 2 goals that came after it. I thought they were such nice goals, especially the third one. Um, he is a 5-yard merchant. Like he's one of those that's just going to be like right inside the 6-yard box, and that's where he's going to score. But the flair that he had, the confidence that he had, it's nice to see. And hopefully, because this hasn't changed my mind at all, to be honest, I still think he's somebody that we need to move on. But maybe if somebody was watching like a Brighton, you need a striker, maybe they would take a punt on him in January because of what he looked like. I know it was against Sunderland, but he did that against Leeds as well. He had a goal against Leeds. Leeds is Premier League opposition, and that was in the last round. And so he can I think he can play in the Premier League on a lower level opposition and do a really good job there. And I would hope that maybe we could get something from it. But nevertheless, the performance was amazing. I can't take anything away from him. 3 goals in one game, and so good goals, solid goals as well. So I'm actually going to give an Eddie a 10. Um, he has to be man of the match today for the goals. The hardest thing to do is to score goals. I mean, he finished the chances that Balogun couldn't finish, 3 goals in one game. I mean, hat trick. I'm just going to give him a 10 just because it's fun. I mean, what else is he supposed to go do but score goals? So we give him a 10. Give him his flowers. It is what it is. And Fox in the box, 5-yard merchant, it is what it is. Like,
Goals
it's
are goals, and it doesn't really
yeah,
matter.
it is what it is. What do you think? What are you gonna give
He's
him?
getting a 9. Someone else is getting a 10 for me, but we'll get onto that. But no, I think he had a phenomenal game. I think he needed this kind of game as well. I mean, look, it's annoying because obviously he's he is. You know what? For a young player, he's very professional. He's already rejected the contract, but his head's not down. It's not like, oh, I'm out of here anyway, so I'm going to stop performing. Every opportunity he's gotten, I felt like he's taken it. Even in the Premier League, for example, I know he's not scored and he's missed some sitters. For example, the Everton miss that he should have absolutely scored. That was also a 5-yard miss rather than a scoring, but what he normally does. But he's taken all his chances. I think, give him his flowers, a hat trick. I like the second goal more than I like the third. I think the third goal was a good finish, but nothing to do with him. But the second goal he scored was his movement. He came in from and kind of came in between. I don't know if it was the 2 centre backs or whether it was one of the fullbacks and the centre back, and then he tapped like he kind of like I don't have to, it's a weird way, but he kind of just like jumped up and then touched it in. But I thought the way he moved for that and the celebration, you know what? If Ronaldo did that, everyone would be like, "Oh my god, look at him!" So don't care, mate. Celebrate it like you won the
Mhm.
Champions League final. Because guess what? There's Ronaldo who's more shameless. You sometimes need to be. And to be fair, he didn't even celebrate that badly, in my opinion. He just did what he does, like call me. So, I think some Brighton might answer that call. So, we never know.
Mhm.
We'll see. But yeah, he's getting a 9 for me.
Yeah, I think he was really good. The hardest thing to do in the game is to score goals, and he did 3. He had 3. Could easily just walk his way out of the club and just be like, "Whatever, I'm going to get a huge signing bonus somewhere else and do my thing." But I think every time that he's come in, he's done something. And I know he missed a really big chance against Everton, but overall, he played well in that game. He scored against Leeds when he came in. I just think he's doing okay. Like, and he's getting better as well. So I want to give him his flowers. He's not my favorite player. Everybody knows that. I just, it is what it is. But he's done well today. Gabrielle and Martinelli, um, good, good. They did okay. They did what they usually do. They played like starters when they
You
came
did
in.
it also. You
Like,
forgot Xhaka as well. Even
huh?
even Arsenal said, they go, oh, first substitution of the night, Gabriel Martinelli, Gabriel, and then they go, oh crap, we forgot Shaka.
Oh, well, I want to lump these 2 in together though,
Yeah, no,
because they came in together, but I will go back to Granite. I think we could just give them 6s. Came in, played like starters, not on for long. Was a little bit scared that Martinelli got that bad tackle on him, and I
oh
know
yeah,
that that was one of those things like, why are we risking them? I do kind of feel that way sometimes, like, why are we risking them? But Arteta tends to want to play his main team in these competitions no matter what. So it is what it is. Are you okay with giving the two of them sixes so
Yeah,
we can move on?
I think what did they have 15 minutes? Yeah, it's not enough to do anything, and they didn't do anything wrong or good. So yeah, it's just standard, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's talk about Granite. I think Granite was that was the perfect substitution. The perfect substitution. He was one of the other players that made it look like this is just totally underneath. This is below my level, which we should expect, but we are a double pivot team, period. And when he sat in next to El Neni, shocker, we started looking like Arsenal again. We were pinging the ball around. Odegaard slotted right into that, that kind of halfish space in between the right hand side and right through the middle. He just kind of popped in there. ESR went into his rightful position. Everything clicked into place. So for me, Granite was the perfect substitution then. I think he was relatively flawless. I think he did more than Martinelli and Gabriel did because he was a part of a lot of our buildup. And yeah, I have nothing to complain about with Xhaka. I'm going to give him a 7. I think he was great.
Yeah, no, you did exactly what he needed to come on to do. We were losing control, if we're being completely honest. And I know it's Sunderland, we shouldn't have done that. The play should have been good and whatever. But the point is, he came in to control the game. He came in and controlled the game, and he killed off the game as well. And to be fair, he was involved in Patino's goal as well. He is the one who passed it into Pepe for Pepe to do what he did. So credits there. I mean, to be fair to Xhaka, he seems to be very, very well rounded. Like, it's not only now we're not only seeing his defensive side, but we're seeing him go forward a lot more, late runs into the box, and just being an extra man and an extra hassle for defenders in the box. So I think, yeah, given everything, yes, 7. I think again he came in at a time where he just needed to control the game, so he couldn't do anything to score a goal or to assist a goal. So no, I think a 7.
Okay, Mohammed's giving him an 8. I mean, I think we
Fair.
all kind of feel the same way that I think because at halftime I was like, please get on one of these central midfielders, but I didn't want it to be Thomas Partey. I was like, don't bring him on. But it was Granite, and he did the right thing. And I guess we'll finish off by talking about Charlie Patino. I think a lot of some people were disappointed that he didn't play against Wimbledon. I think because he was on the bench, and he got his minutes today. He got about 10 minutes. He had a couple of touches and he had a goal. I like that Arteta didn't put him in the pivot. There were a lot of people saying, take up on El Neni now, put on Charlie Patino. We know that he kind of plays in that Wilshire role where he can play deeper in midfield and play make from there. But I like how Arteta protected him and put him in the number 10 role. That's just so much better. You don't need him receiving the ball off of the back line and getting picked off on your debut, getting smashed or whatever. But I mean, I'm just going to be real. I didn't see it like anything like, I didn't see a lot, but he got a goal on his debut, and the composure that he had to put it away, I thought was perfect. Great ball from Pepe, a good assist there, and hope to see more of him. I would not be surprised if Arsenal fans were calling for him to be on the bench in the next game. Don't think we'll be seeing that, but that was great. And so it was nice to see somebody get a debut, get a goal, especially somebody that people wanted to see so badly. And no, he's not a number 10, but Arteta decided not to put him in his regular position, would have been probably like El Neni's position, because,
Protect him
you
in a
got to
way.
protect him.
Yeah.
You got to protect him. Arsene used to always say that, like, when you bring new players, young players into the team, you want them to play on the exterior or not in those really high pressure positions at the base of midfield, because that's where the game is won and lost. And he didn't necessarily put him on the exterior. He put him a little bit further forward, which I think also, if you think about what we've done with Sambi, shows how much respect Arteta has for Sambi, putting him so deep in midfield at such a young age. But Patino, I mean, you got your goal, so I'm going to give him a 9. He scored a goal, but he didn't do much else other than that. He was only on for 10 minutes, but I know you want to give him a 10, but go ahead.
Yeah, He's getting a 10, made debut goal. What more do you want? Off the bench, last 10 minutes, and he scores a goal. You know what the funny thing is, yeah? He stole that right off Nketiah, because that, in reality, he shouldn't be going for. But I loved it. You know what? He's still not ready. Look at him. He looks like a little kid. And to be fair, when they tackled, you know what? Yeah, it's weird because it was a good tackle, but that's a scary tackle to get, especially, when one of their defenders came in and he kind of like somewhat kind of scissored him in a way, but it wasn't dangerous. But yeah, no, for me, look, there's a long way to go for him, and obviously we're going to overhype him. I am being shameless, and I don't care. He's getting a 10, my man of the match. Just a memorable day for everyone, and I hope this breeds confidence, and it allows not only for youngsters to come in, and especially Balogun to keep his head up and say, look, opportunities are going to come for me. I just need to wait my time, and I think that's what Patino's basically exemplified. That even though he didn't play against Wimbledon, even though he didn't play in like Europa Leagues last year, he didn't play in like even with Miguel Aziz, he took his time before he gave him his debut and everything like that, and it's just brilliant. I don't even care. It's a 10. It's a 10, and he's a future 10. Well, he's a future 8. So yeah, that's how I feel right now. I'm just buzzing. If he didn't score, this game would have just been like, yeah, it's a good game. But because he scored, it's an amazing game.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of Arsenal fans really wanted to see. So you've gotten your Charlie Patino debut, guys. Relax, because I thought the timeline was going to explode if they didn't see him. Why is Martinelli and Gabriel coming in? Put Patino in. It's Patino time. Like, I'm
And I
like,
know, I know
okay, I
people are
get it.
joking, but they were like, I'm going to be Arteta if I don't see Patino. Patino better come in, otherwise Arteta could go. I was like, oh my God, this is funny. But then he did come in
Uh,
and score, so.
yeah, for
Yeah, we like
sure.
that. Patino over, of course, mate. Bring it in.
Yeah, for sure. Charles actually disagrees and thinks, or Peter Charles disagrees and said playing at number 10 helped him score. He wasn't being protected from playing in that area at 4-1. Arteta just wanted to rest others instead of Elneny. I mean, let's keep it real. Even if Sunderland never stopped playing, and even if we had lost that game 4-2, because they picked the ball off of him, it would not have lost us the game. But what would that have done to his mentality, or what would that have done to his mindset? So respectfully, I disagree. I think Arteta made the right move by not putting him in the double pivot. I don't think he put him in the number 10 role so that he could be further up the pitch to score a goal. I think we sometimes don't give Arteta credit, where I think that was pretty obvious why he did that. It felt obvious to
Yeah,
me.
because he brought
Um,
Xhaka on. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought Xhaka on. He would have brought Patino on. And I think he did things to ensure Patino's protected.
I mean, I don't know. I just see it. That's how I see it.
Mm.
S says, I dream that Aziz and Patino will dominate our midfield in the future. Yeah, that'd be great. Don One says Patino is the GOAT. S says Patino is very good under pressure anyway, unlike a certain Xhaka. So you guys are loving it, and I love that. But yeah, for sure. I think good game, moving on to the next round. No, I mean, it was a little bit like, oh shit, are we about to do the thing, after they scored that first goal? But we did a good job. And on to the semifinals. Now that we're into the semis, however you want to call it, do you give a shit? Do you want to win it now? I mean, we're in the semifinals. At this point, don't you want to win now? Don't you care?
When didn't I want to win this?
I mean,
Look,
some people
I
were like,
I
well, we
am
don't need to prioritize it at all because we need to be in the top four. But
I
I
don't
mean,
care. A trophy, in my eyes anyway, a trophy is a trophy. Whether it's a Carabao Cup or whether it's a Community Shield, you still want to win it because it just gives you a bit of bragging rights. It gives you confidence. And guess what? It's the Manchester City trophy. It's not a Carabao Cup anymore. Manchester bloody City win this cup for the past like 5 years. And to be fair, I made a bold claim. I actually said West Ham will beat them, and this was the first time in a long time they don't win it. And do you know what I see it as? Pep's just passed the baton on to Arteta to go win this now. He's like, I've won it enough. I need your career to be a little bit better. So here you go win this for us. And yeah, that's how I see it. I want to win it. Bring on anyone. I don't care. Bring Liverpool on. Bring Chelsea on. Bring on whoever. We're in a semi-final. Beggars can't be choosers at this point. We need to beat the best to be the best. And guess what? Last time when we had that, we played City, beat them, beat Chelsea in the last 2 FA Cups that we won. So at this point, bring them on. Let's go for it. I'm putting my feet up and I'm going to relax tomorrow and just laugh at the teams that go out because we're in it.
Yeah, I think we're pretty 100% at some point going to play Spurs. It's just written in.
Well, it's this or
And
the final, so there's not really a
yeah,
lot
it's
of
either,
opportunity.
yeah,
So
what
you
I mean,
reckon they'll
unless they lose,
because they've got West Ham, haven't they?
they have to play West Ham. Yeah.
Ooh.
And then, yeah,
You know,
and
West Ham are
Liverpool play
such underdogs. No
Leicester.
one's giving them credit. Like, no one's
Well, I
giving them
mean,
hope to win.
that's the best position to be in.
Yeah,
When we
true.
got into the semifinal of the FA Cup, the best feeling was everybody thinking we were going to lose. It gave us that leg up. And at some point, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think I mean, what would it feel like to be in the final against Spurs trying to keep them from winning a trophy? Like,
I don't want. You know,
oh,
as much as I want that, I don't want that.
like, oh my gosh. But fight tooth and nail, boys. More important than winning is keeping them from winning.
Exactly.
Like, that's more important
Oh,
than anything. But
do you know, even if Saka makes a mispass, I'm cussing him out in that game. I'm like, no, you're so shit.
oh my goodness, it's gonna be so insane. So, but we're into the semifinals. Come on. Like, I mean, that's very close. And a cup mid-season can really spur you on. Let's not say spur. Galvanize the group
Yeah.
to go forward and do great things for the rest of the season. So I'm interested to see what happens. But
Are you bothered who we get? Obviously, we don't know who's winning, but like, is there anyone you definitely don't want?
Liverpool. Um,
I say
I
bring them.
think
I don't.
I think the only thing is, like, people will say that Klopp doesn't care about this competition at all, but he will care if he's playing against Arsenal in a semifinal.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think it's pretty obvious that when they play against us, they're dying to beat us. So I just have this weird feeling that I'd be fine to play against Leicester, West Ham at this point, Spurs, or Chelsea. But Liverpool, I just have this weird feeling he would bring out the big guns in a semifinal against us because it's different than a semifinal against Leicester. Big teams want to knock out big teams and they don't play it safe. So it just depends. But I'd prefer anybody but Liverpool because I think player for player, we could do a good job. But we'll see. I would like to win this one. We're going to end it there. There's 200 of you guys watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow, I guess to start the lead up to the Norwich game. Let me check just to make sure. You guys, I mean, I barely even knew today was a game. So there you go. Yeah, well, we play Norwich on Sunday, so we have a while to go, but I'm sure we can conjure up some content before Christmas. If you guys celebrate Christmas and I don't see you guys before then, have a happy holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, doesn't matter. Enjoy your time, stay safe, stay healthy. COVID is going around like wildfire. Keep yourself safe, family safe. Looking forward to see you guys on the next one, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, y'all.